We look up at the sky and we see freedom. We see infinite blue, white, fluffy clouds, the sun. We think of the sky as empty space, a vacuum waiting to be filled by our airplanes and satellites. But sailors used to think the ocean was empty too, until they went deep enough to see the monsters. There is a theory called atmospheric beasts. It suggests that the atmosphere of our planet isn't just air, it's an ecosystem. Just like the depths of the Mariana Trench, the upper layers of our sky have their own predators, creatures that are made of gas and electricity and silence. They live in the storm clouds. They drift in the jet streams. They are transparent, enormous, and ancient. And sometimes, we fly right into their mouths. My name is Jack Evans. In 1974, I was a lieutenant in the US Navy, flying F-4 Phantoms off the USS Midway. I'm an old man now. My flight logs from that day are classified. They say I hit a weather balloon. They say I suffered from hypoxia. But I know what I saw. I know what touched my aircraft. If you are a pilot and you see a cloud that looks a little too dark or moves a little too fast against the wind, turn around. Don't engage. Because up there, at 40,000 feet, you are not the apex predator. You are just a fly buzzing in a spider's web. Location, 200 miles west of Guam. Altitude, 30,000 feet. Angels, 30. Speed, 450 knots. There is a specific smell inside an F-4 Phantom cockpit. It's a mix of jet fuel, stale sweat, ozone, and old leather. It's the smell of a machine built for war. I was Viper 11. My backseater, the radar intercept officer, Rio, was Lieutenant Mike Goose Halloway. Goose was the best Rio in the squadron. He could spot a seagull on a radar screen from 50 miles out. Viper 11, this is Midway Strike. The carrier's voice crackled in my earpiece, cutting through the static. State fuel and souls. I keyed the mic on my throttle. Midway, Viper 11. Fuel state is 7.2. 2 souls on board. We are bored out of our minds up here. Over. Copy that, Viper. Continue patrol vector 270. Keep your eyes peeled. We have reports of Soviet bears, Tu-95 bombers, poking around the perimeter. Wilco, I said, leaning my head back against the ejection seat. It was a beautiful day. The sky was a piercing, violent shade of blue that you only see at high altitude. Below us, the Pacific Ocean was a sheet of wrinkled tin foil. To my right, a massive wall of cumulonimbus clouds, thunderheads, was building up. They looked like mountains of whipped cream, towering up to 50,000 feet. Hey, Strider, Goose's voice came over the intercom. You see that cloud formation at 3 o'clock? That is one ugly-looking storm. I looked. He was right. Most clouds are white or gray. This tower was purple, bruised, and it was dense. It looked solid, like you could land on it. Yeah, I see it, I replied. Looks like a heavy squall line. We'll stay clear. I don't want to explain to the skipper why I brought his bird back with hail damage. The F-4 hummed. It was a beast of a plane. No computer fly-by-wire nonsense, just hydraulics and raw thrust. You had to wrestle it. You felt every bump in the air. Check your radar, Goose, I said, just to break the silence. Anything out there? Scope is clear, Goose said. The sound of him adjusting the radar gain clicked in my ear. Just see clutter. Wait, the tone of his voice changed, just a fraction. But after flying 200 hours with the guy, I knew that tone. What you got? I asked, straightening up in my seat. I got a hit, Goose said. Range 40 miles. Altitude, whoa. Altitude is Angels 50, 50,000 feet. 50? I frowned. That's high for a bear. Maybe a spy plane? U-2? It's not a U-2, Goose muttered. Look at the speed. It's hovering. 0 knots. A balloon then, I relaxed. Probably weather gear. Strider, Goose said, and this time I heard genuine confusion. The contact just moved. It dropped from Angels 50 to Angels 20 in 3 seconds. I checked my own instruments. That was impossible. To drop 30,000 feet in 3 seconds meant a descent speed that would tear any man-made structure apart. The G-force alone would turn a pilot into jelly. Equipment malfunction? I suggested. No, Goose said. Solid return. It's big, Jack. It's really big, and it's heading for the cloud layer. Midway strike, Viper 1-1, I called the carrier. We have a bogey. Strange behavior. Request permission to investigate. There was a long pause. The static hissed. Viper 1-1, midway. Vector to intercept. Visual ID only. Do not engage unless fired upon. Caution, we are getting weird interference on the data link. Copy, I said. I banked the Phantom hard to the right, pulling 4Gs. The ocean tilted sideways. The nose of the jet pointed straight at that massive, bruised purple mountain of clouds. Arming switch is hot, I told Goose. Let's go see what this ghost is. As we approached the storm front, the sunlight began to dim. The bright blue sky turned into a sickly gray. The air became turbulent. The plane started to buck and kick. Contact is inside the cloud, Goose said. Range 10 miles. It's matching our speed now. Matching us? It was 0 knots. Now it's doing 450 knots. It's toying with us. I looked at the cloud wall. It was immense. And for a second, just a split second, I thought I saw something ripple inside the mist. Not a plane, not metal. It looked like a shadow swimming in milk. Here we go, I whispered, entering the soup. Range 5 miles, Goose called out. Closing speed 400. I stared through the HUD, heads-up display. The green symbology was projecting onto the glass, locking onto nothing. Just that massive wall of purple clouds ahead. I don't have a tally, I said, squinting against the sun glare. Where is he, Goose? Give me a vector. He's dead ahead, Strider. You should see him. He's the size of a damn aircraft carrier. A carrier? I laughed nervously. Goose, check your gain. Nothing flies that big. I'm telling you, the return is massive, Goose insisted. But it's weird. It's soft. Soft? Yeah. A normal plane paints a sharp line on the scope. Metal reflects radar waves. This thing, it's absorbing the waves. It looks like a flock of birds, or a dense patch of rain, but it's moving as a solid unit. Midway strike, Viper 1-1, I keyed the mic. Approaching the cloud layer, target is obscured. Radar return is inconclusive. Requesting permission to go weapons hot just in case. Static, just white noise. Midway, Viper 1-1, do you read? Nothing. We lost the data link, Goose said. The jamming, it's getting stronger. My scope is covered in snow. We were alone now, 2 men in 20 tons of steel, cut off from the world. We're going in, I said, flipping the master arm switch to on. Keep your eyes on the instruments. If I get vertigo in there, you need to talk me down. Copy, Goose said. His voice was tight. Jack, I've got a bad feeling about this. Stow it, I ordered, though I felt it too. The hair on my arms was standing up. The air inside the cockpit felt electrically charged, like walking on a carpet in wool socks. The purple cloud loomed over us like a tidal wave frozen in the sky. It swallowed the horizon. 3, 2, 1, mark. The world turned gray instantly. 1 second, we were in bright sunshine. The next, we were inside a washing machine. The turbulence hit us like a physical blow. The jet bucked violently, slamming my helmet against the canopy. Watch your altitude, Goose yelled over the roar of the rain. We're drifting up. I'm fighting it. I gritted my teeth, wrestling the stick. The hydraulic resistance was immense. It felt like the air itself had become thick, like syrup. Visibility was 0. I couldn't see the nose of my own plane, just swirling gray mist and the strobe light of lightning flashing all around us. Flash, flash. Radar is dead, Goose shouted. I've got nothing, just clutter. He's gone. He can't just vanish, I yelled back. He was right in front of us. Suddenly, the smell hit me. We were on oxygen masks, sealed tight. We shouldn't smell anything from the outside, but somehow it got in. It smelled like burning ozone, like sulfur, and underneath that, something rotting, like dead fish on a hot beach. Jesus, what is that smell? Goose gagged. Focus, I snapped. Scan the thermal. Then the lightning flashed again, a massive sheet lightning bolt that lit up the entire cloud from the inside. And for a second, I saw it. It wasn't an airplane, it wasn't a saucer. Directly above us, maybe 500 feet away, was a shadow. But it wasn't a solid shape. It was translucent. It looked like a jellyfish the size of a skyscraper, floating in the storm. Long, trailing tendrils hung down from its main body, drifting in the wind. And inside its body, there were lights, pulsing, rhythmic lights, like organs. Strider, Goose whispered. Look up. I see it, I whispered back. My hand froze on the stick. The thing was bioluminescent. The lightning wasn't coming from the storm. It was coming from inside the creature. It was generating the storm. It's alive, Goose said. The skepticism was gone. Only terror remained. Suddenly, the turbulence stopped. The rain stopped. The jet stabilized. We had entered a pocket of calm air inside the cloud, the eye of the storm, and we were hovering right underneath its belly. It's huge, I muttered. My God, it's eating the electricity. As we watched, one of the massive translucent tendrils, thick as a redwood tree, began to descend towards our canopy. It moved with a slow, purposeful grace. It wasn't drifting, it was reaching. Brake right, Goose screamed. Brake right, it's grabbing us. I slammed the stick to the right and kicked the rudder. The afterburners lit up, but the jet didn't move. The engines roared, the fuel burned, but we were suspended in the air, held by an invisible force. We're not moving, I yelled, looking at the airspeed indicator. It was dropping. 400 knots, 300 knots, 200 knots. We were caught in its web. Eject! Eject! Goose screamed. Punch out, Jack! I can't, I yelled back, wrestling the stick with both hands. The canopy is blocked. If we punch out now, we launch right into that thing's gut. The massive tendril, that translucent, gelatinous rope, descended. It didn't hit us hard. It landed on us. It draped over the nose of the Phantom and slid up the windshield like a living oil slick. It was thick, viscous. Through the glass, inches from my face, I could see the internal structure of the thing. It wasn't skin. It was millions of tiny, pulsing sacs, glowing with a faint electric blue light. It's touching us, Goose whimpered. Oh God, it's touching us. The light inside the cockpit turned a sickly underwater blue. The creature was sealing us in. Then the sound started. It wasn't a roar. It was a sizzle, like bacon frying in a pan, but amplified 1,000 times. Zzz, T. Warning lights, Goose shouted. I'm losing the radar. I'm losing the UHF. The battery voltage is dropping. I looked at the instrument panel. The needles were spinning wildly. The lights were flickering. It's not attacking us, I realized, watching the blue veins on the canopy pulse brighter. It's feeding. It's drinking the electricity. I pushed the throttle to military power. Come on, baby! Burn! The jet shook. The nose pitched up, trying to break free from the sticky grip of the monster. The heat from our engines should have burned the creature. But it didn't. The creature seemed to absorb the heat. The tendril glowed brighter, turning from blue to an angry violet. It likes the heat, I whispered, horrified. We're feeding it. Jack! Goose's voice was breaking. The glass! Look at the glass! I looked up. The reinforced plexiglass canopy, designed to withstand bird strikes and supersonic speeds, was fogging up, not with condensation, with fractures. Tiny spiderweb cracks were spreading directly where the creature's skin touched the glass. It's crushing us, Goose yelled. Pressure alert. Cabin pressure is failing. And then the music stopped. The JC-9 engines, the loudest things on Earth, coughed once. Bang. And then, silence. The sudden lack of noise was more terrifying than the storm. The vibration in the stick died. The hum of the environmental control system died. Flame out, I said. My voice sounded hollow in the mask. Both engines. Flame out. Restart, Goose yelled. Hit the igniters. I have no spark, Goose. The electrical system is dead. It drained everything. We were a 20-ton brick, suspended in the air by a monster, wrapped in a blue slime that was slowly crushing our cockpit. The temperature plummeted. Within seconds, frost began to form on the inside of the glass. My breath turned into heavy white clouds. I can't feel my hands, Goose chattered. Jack, look at the displays. I looked. The instrument panel was dark, but the creature outside was glowing brighter than ever. It had taken our energy. It was full. And then it did something that haunts my nightmares. The slime on the canopy shifted. It thinned out in one spot, directly in front of my face. A large circular organ pressed against the glass. It dilated like a pupil. It was an eye. It was looking at me, not at the plane, at me. It was an eye the size of a dinner plate, swirling with galaxies of light. It didn't look like an animal's eye. It looked intelligent, ancient, and curious. It was studying the little meat morsels inside the metal shell. Don't move, I whispered, squeezing the dead stick. Don't move. For 10 seconds, we stared into the eye of a god. Then the creature pulsed once, a massive shockwave of light that blinded us, and it let go. The tendril retracted, snapping back into the clouds like a rubber band. The weight was gone, but so was our lift. We're falling, Goose screamed. We're in a spin. The F-4 nosedived. Without power, without hydraulics, we were tumbling out of the sky like a stone. The altimeter, the only analog instrument still working, was unwinding like a clock in fast not forward. 35,000, 30, 25,000. We were falling into the ocean, and I had no control. 20,000 feet, we were tumbling. The sky and the ocean were swapping places in a dizzying blur. Gray cloud, dark water. Gray cloud, dark water. The G-forces were tossing us around the cockpit like ragdolls. Without hydraulics, the stick felt like it was set in concrete. I yanked it with both hands, screaming with effort, trying to stop the spin. I'm gonna be sick, Goose yelled, his voice garbled. Stay with me, Goose, I roared. Read me the altitude. 15,000, passing 15. We're falling at 10,000 feet a minute. I need airspeed to restart, I shouted. I have to nose down. It sounded insane. We were falling to our deaths, and I had to point the nose down to go faster. It was the only way to force enough air into the intakes to windmill the turbine blades. I kicked the rudder hard against the spin and shoved the stick forward. The Phantom groaned. The metal frame shrieked, but the nose dropped. We stopped spinning. Now, we were in a straight vertical dive, a lawn dart screaming towards the Pacific. 10,000 feet. Airspeed 300, 3T. I watched the gauge. Come on, spin, you bastard, spin! I slammed the igniter button. Click, click, nothing. The creature had drained the batteries dry. It won't fire, I yelled. Manual override, Goose screamed. Drop the rat, ram air turbine. I pulled the emergency lever. A small propeller dropped out of the fuselage into the airstream. It spun up instantly, generating just enough desperate electricity to spark the plugs. 5,000 feet. The ocean was rushing up fast. I could see the whitecaps on the waves now. They looked like teeth. Ignition, I prayed. Whine. A low moan came from behind us. The starboard engine was catching. Roar. A burst of flame. The J-79 exploded back to life. The vibration returned. The hydraulics kicked in. The stick suddenly felt light in my hands. Power! We have power! 2,000 feet. Pull up! Pull up! The flight computer screamed. Pulling! I hauled back on the stick. I pulled it into my gut. The G-force hit us like a hammer. 6 Gs. 7 Gs. My vision went gray. My flight suit squeezed my legs to keep the blood in my brain. I grunted, fighting the darkness. The horizon flattened out. The ocean skimmed just below us. We were so low the jet wash kicked up a spray of mist from the water. We leveled out at 500 feet. I gasped for air, ripping my mask off. The cockpit was freezing, but I was sweating bullets. Goose, I croaked. You alive back there? Silence, then a shaky voice. I think I wet myself, Strider. I laughed. It was a hysterical, manic laugh. Copy that, Goose. Let's go home. We landed on the USS Midway 20 minutes later. We didn't say a word on the flight back. When we taxied to a stop, the ground crew didn't rush in to refuel us. They stopped. They stood around the plane pointing and whispering. I climbed out of the cockpit. My legs were shaking so bad I almost fell off the ladder. I looked at my jet. The nose of the Phantom, the paint was gone. It wasn't burned off. It was bleached. The metal underneath was a strange dull white, like bone that had been left in the sun for 50 years. And where the creature's tentacle had touched the canopy, the glass was etched with a fractal pattern, like a frost flower that wouldn't melt. Before I could even inspect it, a team of men in plain grey suits, not navy, swarmed the deck. They pushed the ground crew away. They threw a tarp over the nose of the plane. They confiscated the flight tapes. They took Goose's radar logs. They took us to a debriefing room without windows. They told us we had flown through a highly charged ionic storm. They told us we suffered from hypoxia and hallucinations. They told us to sign the papers or we'd lose our wings. We'd lose our pensions. So we signed. I flew for another 10 years, but I never went above 30,000 feet again. I never looked at a storm cloud the same way. Goose wasn't so lucky. He took a discharge a month later. He moved to Arizona, the desert, somewhere with no clouds. He said he couldn't stand the rain anymore. He said the rain smelled like dead fish. And the worst part? He was right. Sometimes when a thunderstorm rolls in and the air pressure drops, I can smell it too. That ozone, that rot. It reminds me that the sky isn't empty. It's an ocean, and we are just swimming on the surface, blissfully unaware of the leviathans drifting in the deep, dark blue above our heads. This is Captain Nightwhisper. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and if you see a cloud moving against the wind, don't fly into it. Out.